Hello everyone. Today we are going to build a modal in JavaScript. But instead of writing the HTML here, the CSS here, and just handling the display property using a JavaScript, what we have to do, we have to create a separate class for our modal, right? So that it can be used anywhere. Wherever you want to use it, just import this modal class, right? And pass it the content which you want inside the model, and just use this open modal method to open the modal. To exactly explain what the problem is in the HTML will be only given a button, right? Just a button. Everything needs to be done from the JavaScript only. So first, let's see what the HTML code will look like. Although we will be inserting that code using our JavaScript only, but first, just for the simplicity, we'll create the HTML and CSS just to see how the modal will look, right? So we'll have a div tag, right? We'll give it a class modal. Everything related to our modal will be inside this div. It will have a close button. For that, I'll use a span tag with the class close. Okay. And for the cross sign, what I'll use and percent times colon. And then comes the content of the model. So for that, I'll create a div and I'll give it a class modal content. And this content will contain everything which the user will provide. So let me just copy paste it here. If I run it, it's looking something like this. Let's write the styling for this. So first, let's start with our modal class. Display for now, we'll give it block, but once we are done writing with our HTML and CSS, we'll change it to none, right? So display block, and position, we'll give it the fixed, and z index, we'll give it 1. Top, we'll give it 0. Left, also 0. Width, 100%, and height as well, 100%. And overflow will give auto. Miss semicolon. Okay, yeah. Background color kind of gray, so RGBA 000 and 0.5, right? Then let's write the CSS for the modal content. What it will have, it will have, let's say, a margin of 15% auto, a padding of, let's say, 20 pixels, width 100%, and yeah, that's about it, I guess. And the close button, we'll give it position absolute, then top 100 pixel, right, let's say 50 pixel, and color will give it gray, and font size, let's say 30 pixel font size, and font weight will give it bold, and cursor will change it to pointer. And one last thing, just on hover of this close button, we'll change the color to black. Okay, let's try to run this. Okay, not looking good. Let's give a background of white, right? Yeah, was background color of white to the content background. Okay, let's run it again. Okay, the width seemed to be an issue, so for now let's just change it to 80%. Yeah, it's better. So let's start with the JavaScript code. Okay, let's first change the position of this block to none, right? Because we'll be changing it to JS. And instead of this, we'll be inserting this HTML when our class is initialized, right? So inside the constructor, we'll be writing all the HTML for this. So let's start it. So I'll call it this dot modal equals to document dot create element. We'll create a div tag, right? And we need to attach a class name model to it, right? So this dot modal dot class list dot add a class of modal, right? Then what we need to do, we need to create the model content and the close button tag. So let's start with the close button tag. So this dot close button, it will be equals to document dot create element. We'll give it a span tag, and this dot close button dot class list dot add, and we'll give it a class of close, right? And we need to append it. Oh yeah, the inner HTML first. So this dot close button dot text content, right, which will be a string, let's say n% times. Okay, now let's create the modal content. So this dot modal content, it will be equal to document dot create element, a div tag, right? And it will have a class. So this dot modal content dot class list dot add, and the class name is this, for this is modal content. Okay, now we need to append them to the modal, right? So this dot modal append child, and this dot close button, right? And this dot modal dot append child, this dot modal content. Cool. And we also need to append this whole div to the body, right? So document dot body dot append child, this dot modal, right? And one last thing, for this click outside, what we'll do, window dot add event listener on click will bind it to this dot click outside dot bind, and provide this, so that whenever someone clicks somewhere outside this modal, it should get closed, right? Okay, now we have written the code for creating the model. Now let's move forward to the open modal function. So in the open modal, what we have to do is insert the content which is provided by the user to the modal content div, right? And make the display of our modal to block. So let's do it. So this dot modal content dot inner HTML, it will be equals to content, right? And this dot modal dot style dot display will change it to block. So here on the click of this open modal button, when we are calling open modal, the modal should get open. So let's run this and see if it's working or not. Okay, okay, it's not working. There's some error. This dot modal dot append child. Okay, okay, append child. Yeah, the C will be capital. Clear the console, run it again. Okay, minimize it, open the modal. Yep, it's opening. Now we need to deal with the close modal functionality. So all we have to do is change the style back to none, right? So change it to none. So let's run it. Okay, modal is opening. Click on the close button. Okay, we need to add the event listener for that. So inside the constructor, I'll write this dot close button dot add event listener on click. What I want to do, I want to close the model. So this dot close modal dot bind this, right? Let's run it again to see if it's working or not. Open it, close it. Yep, open it, close it. Okay, so the opening and closing is working. Now I need to close the modal when users click somewhere outside this modal content, right? So what I'll do, inside the click outside method, I'll just write one simple if check. If event, so we'll capture the event here, event dot target, right? If it is equals to this dot modal, right? Because if we are in the modal content, we don't want to do anything, right? Because apart from it, apart from the modal content on the background, everything is this this dot modal class, right? Because we have given the width 100% and height 100%. All this grayish background area is this div with the class modal. So what we'll do, if this target is equal to modal, all we'll do is just call this close modal function. This dot close modal. Okay. Let's run it again. Open, right? Click on the cross button to close it. Open, then click somewhere outside. It's getting closed. Yep. So this was my solution to this approach to this problem. However, if you want to try some different approach, I'll be providing the link to this fiddle in the description of this video. So you can play around with it and make some changes for your learning. Hey, while editing this video, I found that this position of the cross button is not valid, right? When we change the width of the screen, it's shifting, right? It's not good. The solution is to not append the child here. So this dot modal dot append child, remove this line from here, right? And when we are inserting the content in our model content div, here inside the model content, append this close button, right? After doing that, all we have to do is provide the position relative to it, position relative to the content, so that this button is actually related to its position is related to the content of the model, not to the actual model, the whole model. So, and we need to update the top and right position as well, 10 pixel, 10 pixel. If we run it again, you see, yes, now the position of this cross button is fixed. So that was it for this video. Thank you for watching.